Following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the Tiafangi coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful and informative review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Voyager class Autobot Bulkhead. Now, Bulkhead is a figure that has stirred up confusion amongst Transformers fans and collectors due to everyone questioning which series of the sub-series of the Transformers franchise Bulkhead is supposed to come from. Here on his box, and I believe it's also on the instruction sheet, it states that this is supposed to be the Transformers Prime version of Bulkhead. But for those of you who have followed up on the Transformers Prime series, Bulkhead did not have this type of vehicle mode. He actually transformed into an off-road, four-wheeled pickup truck type vehicle. And the Legacy version of Bulkhead here, he actually transforms into an army vehicle that is a troop transporter. I honestly don't know how a troop transporter would work on Cybertron. Maybe he could be transporting Micromasters underground, whose vehicle modes are jets. But this is where the confusion has come from. If this really is the Prime version of Bulkhead, why does he look completely different from his original appearance in the Transformers Prime franchise? For me personally, I ignore this disclaimer on the box that this is the Transformers Prime version of Bulkhead, and I acknowledge this figure as instead being Transformers Generation 1 Bulkhead, which technically did not exist. So this is basically Bulkhead as if he had been an original Transformers Generation 1 character. If he had been introduced in the Transformers Generation 1 franchise back in the 1980s, this is what Bulkhead would have possibly looked like back then. And so that's what I view the Transformers Legacy action figure Bulkhead as being, Generation 1 Bulkhead, who technically did not exist. So yes, this is Generation 1 Bulkhead to me. His vehicle mode of a troop transport truck, it actually makes him look like the Transformers Age of Extinction version of Autobot Hound. And that character, in the Age of Extinction movie was in fact originally supposed to be Bulkhead. And so you can't make the joke that the Legacy Bulkhead figure is Hasbro acknowledging indirectly that Age of Extinction Hound was originally going to be Bulkhead by making this brand new action figure of Bulkhead a military vehicle. So yeah, there's Bulkhead in his packaging. Bulkhead is somewhat special to me since he was the first Transformers Legacy figure that I purchased at my local Target store. I actually got Bulkhead 2 months ago. That's how far behind I am in doing a review of him. Here on this side of the box, you got some artwork of Bulkhead's face, and you've got a close-up, same image with only showing all of him in there. I love how he has his wrecking ball hand like his Transformers Prime counterpart. I will acknowledge that the face sculpt is more reminiscent of Bulkhead's appearance in Transformers Prime than his appearance in Transformers Animated. One thing I want to apologize before we take Bulkhead out of his box. I apologize profusely. I know one of the highlights of my reviews is doing size comparisons with other figures, but I, for the life of me, cannot find where I put all of my Bulkhead figures. I do have the Transformers Animated and the Transformers Prime RID action figures of Bulkhead, but I honestly, for the life of me, cannot find where in my collection I put those other figures, so I apologize. I will not be able to do any size comparisons of Bulkhead with his previously released figures, but there are plenty of reviews out there that do size comparisons. And so, here on the top of the box, you got the Legacy logo. On this side, you got the Autobot side of the poster image for Transformers Legacy. Oddly enough, even though Bulkhead is released in Wave 1 of the Legacy line, I was about to say he was left out of the image, but there he is on the bottom. He's obscured partially by Planet Cybertron. And of course, here on the back, you've got the product photos. You got Bulkhead in his robot mode and in his vehicle mode, and he transforms back and forth between both modes in 30 steps. But yeah, it says Prime Universe on the box, but you know what? This is Generation 1 Universe, in my opinion. But yes, it shows some of Bulkhead's gimmicks here. Here in his robot mode, you can take his laser gun, put it on his shoulder, and have it become a shoulder cannon. His wrecking ball weapon, it's designed to close around his hand and make it look as though he's swapped out his hand for the wrecking ball. Which he did in both Transformers Animated and Transformers Prime. And of course, the the canvas cover for the back of his vehicle mode is designed to open up completely and become a SWAT team riot shield that Bulkhead can use to ward off the Decepticons. Although, if it actually is made out of canvas material, I don't know how useful it would be unless it has a built-in a shield retracting material that can deflect laser blasts. But yeah, all in all, I do enjoy how Bulkhead turned out. And if I do eat it more often than I should, I apologize. But this is Generation 1 Bulkhead to me. So without further delay, let's get him out of his box and take a close look at him in his robot mode. Alright, and so here is Bulkhead out of his box with all of his accessory pieces removed or not yet attached from him. And yeah, he is pretty impressive looking. Here's a close-up of his head sculpt. And yeah, I will acknowledge that is the Transformers Prime version of Bulkhead. The robot mode head sculpt is based on the character, but everything else about this figure, no, this is not the Prime version of Bulkhead. This is what Bulkhead would have looked like if he was an original Generation 1 Transformers character. So this guy is going to stand beside my Transformers Generation 1 characters. And yeah, I really think that it works as being a Generation 1 Bulkhead figure, the first one of its kind. And when I mean first one of its kind, I mean this is the first figure that gives us an idea of what Bulkhead would have looked like had he been an original Transformers Generation 1 character. This figure has been repainted into a slightly different version of Bulkhead, where instead of an Autobot, he's a member of the Wreckers, and he has a more military camouflage paint job to him. It's been released in the Wrecker Earth subline of Transformers Legacy, which those figures are Amazon exclusives here in the United States. I have no plans on getting that version of Bulkhead at all since I got the mass retail version of Bulkhead. And there's been some speculation amongst Transformers fans and collectors, especially with the fact that the entire front section of Bulkhead's vehicle mode becomes his robot mode chest. There's been speculation as to what other characters besides Bulkhead this mold could be repainted and retooled to create. I can't think of any characters that come to mind who have a transformation like this, where they have the front of a truck forming the robot mode chest, as like Bulkhead does here. But there have been some speculation amongst Transformers fans and collectors who've been throwing out ideas for possible further uses of this mold. But yeah, I'm just overall impressed with how Bulkhead turned out. Before I attach his accessory pieces, his head can, and it has the potential to look left and right 360 degrees, but because of how predominant Bulkhead's chin is, if you try and move the head back all the way, it's going to hit this back kibble that he has behind him. The arms can rotate forwards and backwards 360 degrees. The arms can go outward that far. Alright, the shoulder, bicep swivel, but out of the box it's a little tight. Hinged elbows, but again, fresh out of the box, they're a little tight as well. He does have a waist swivel, so that's pretty good to see. Bulkhead has universal jointed hips. So the legs can go forward and outward that far. It feels like Bulkhead could be able to do the splits if he wanted, but there's something stopping the ratchet joint from going a full 180 degrees, so I wouldn't try it, otherwise you risk breaking it. Swivel joint in the thigh, but because of how square-shaped Bulkhead's thighs are and how thin his pelvis is, there's not much articulation in the thigh swivel joint. Hinge knees, but again, fresh out of the box, they're a little tight, so I'm hoping with time these joints might loosen up just a little bit. And then at the feet, the toes can go forward and down. And the heel spur can also go up and down as well. That's partially due to transformation, however. And there are ankle rockers here, so if you want to get Bulkhead into a wide-legged pose, you can do that as well. But yeah, overall, I just really enjoy how Bulkhead turned out. And bringing in his accessory pieces, he comes with a laser gun, and the theme for the Legacy line is that the Transformers Legacy characters have weapons that are supercharged with large amounts of energon, and what that means is that the action figures come with weapons that are made out of clear plastic, so that is very discouraging due to the fact that clear plastic can become brittle over time, Iron could potentially break easily. And then just like on the box, there's 3mm holes right here, and then there's 3mm eggs here on the sides of Bulkhead's laser gun. So if you want to, you can give him a shoulder cannon. Again, this is why I believe this figure is trying to be the first ever Generation 1 Bulkhead figure, because neither in Transformers Animated or Transformers Prime did Bulkhead have a cannon. And the shoulder cannon gimmick here with his laser gun, it actually makes me wonder if Hasbro and Takara told me before the Legacy line ends if they're going to give us a new Voyager class figure of the Transformers Prime version of Breakdown to go with the just starting to get released deluxe class Prime knockout figure that's getting made. I personally would buy I personally want to get I wouldn't mind having a brand new Voyager class action figure of Breakdown in my Transformers collection. Now, to get the wrecking ball into Bulkhead's hands, the 5mm egg that attaches to the hand, it's slightly off center, so to attach the wrecking ball to Bulkhead's hand, you actually have to apply it upside down and then close it over his arm. So there's Bulkhead with his wrecking ball. And lastly, you have two options. You can either flip out this $5mm peg here on his canvas cover, and I think I'm doing it the right way. No, I'm not. I had it backwards. So I apologize for not stopping the video while I get this. I thought it would only take a split second, but so what you can do with this is a SWAT Team Riot Shield, so you can attach it here on Bulkhead's arm. Unfortunately, Bulkhead's arms are too small, and his robot mode chest is too wide for you to actually put the shield out directly in front of him. So that's a little discouraging that he can't actually really have it holding out in front of him too much. But yeah, there it is. It is acting as the shield. His laser gun just popped off on the shoulder. Let me just put it in his other hand for now, so he's armored up. But then but if you don't want him to actually hold his shield, the main location to attach it to him, if it'll cooperate, which it doesn't want to while it's on camera. But the main spot to attach this is there's another permanently attached port that doesn't swivel here on the back, and there's I'm sorry, this is the peg, this is the port. There's a 5mm port on Bulkhead's back, so if you want to, you can have the shield attached to his back, and now he has back armor plating on it. According to the product photos on his instruction sheet and on his box, you're supposed to leave the two flaps right here folded completely outward. I get, as Hasbro figure that folding them inward slightly like this makes him look sort of like one of the Ninja Turtles, where he has somewhat of a shell protecting him on the back. But yeah, there is Legacy Bulkhead in his robot mode. Oh, and I'm really impressed with him. And then, one thing to note about Bulkhead, I can actually show this off before we get him transformed into his vehicle mode and wrap up the review. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors were kind of hoping that with some of the characters being released in the Legacy line being characters from the Transformers Armada series, that we might be getting mini-cons brought back in the Legacy line. And evidence to support or that hope is right here on his canvas cover, which is his shield. Bulkhead actually has two Minicon ports from the Unicron Trilogy line. They're the exact same size and same shape as the Minicon ports from the Unicron Trilogy action figures of Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. And so a lot of Transformers fans and collectors were hoping that Bulkhead having Minicon ports on him was a sign that we might be getting modern day figures of the Minicons in Transformers Legacy. But the only two Armada figures that have been shown off so far are the upcoming Titan class Cybertron Bulkhead and the upcoming Voyager class Armada Starscream figures, and both those figures do not come with Minicons, so it appears that the Transformers Armada action figures, the Minicons are being omitted from them. So Hasbro and Takara are just throwing out little acknowledgments to the mini-cons, so it's kind of disappointing that we won't be getting mini-cons at this point in Legacy. It doesn't look like we are because the mini-cons were a quintessential part of the Transformers Armada franchise and the Unicron trilogy as a whole. But getting focused back here to Bulkhead, I still enjoy the overall design of him. So without further delay, let's get him transformed into his vehicle mode, wrap up the review, and I will share my final thoughts on Legacy Bulkhead. Alright, so it was a little more difficult than I thought it would be, but here is Legacy Bulkhead transformed into his vehicle mode. This is what the vehicle mode looks like without any of the accessory pieces attached to him, including the canvas that's supposed to cover the back. I've seen very few video reviews showing what Bulkhead looks like without all of his accessory pieces attached to him. And I think this piece is actually supposed to straighten out like that. But yeah, here it is. It's a troop transport truck, and you can see you got the sculpted steel plates. It's right there on the inside. And again, Bulkhead, he's got 5mm ports and 5mm pegs all over. 5mm peg up here, 4 down here, 1 on either side right there. And then 2 5mm pegs right there on the inside of him. And then if you want to, onto Bulkhead's robot mode feet, because they form the back of the vehicle, you can flip the toes down, and 2 5mm ports on the heel spurs. So if you want to give him some have some blast effects attached there, make it look like he has a pair of rocket boosters, you can do that as well. And then one thing you can do with his accessory pieces, even though I just looked at the instruction sheet, I can't remember if it shows where they're supposed to go. Oh yeah, there it is. Here it is. So what you're supposed to do with Bulkhead's accessory pieces for weapon storage is use the 2 5mm ports that are formed right here. Here, unfortunately, they don't really come together because the leg doesn't really... the 2 halves of the legs don't really stay connected. But what you're supposed to do is put Bulkhead's laser gun sideways like that on that port, and then you're supposed to take the wrecking ball and have the side right where the hand rests face the gun, like so there isn't too much paint scraping in between them. And once you have his weapons stored in there, you can then take the canopy, and using this 5mm peg right here, you plug it into that port, or like so. Make sure it's all evened out, and then there's 2 tiny little rectangular pegs right here that'll go into these ports right here where I'm pointing with this finger, and that locks the canvas barrier, the canvas tarp cover into place. And then the hole for when you transform it into a riot shield, there's some sculpt detailing in there that looks like an emergency hatch, so that's a nice touch. So with all his accessory pieces attached, here is Legacy Bulkhead in his fully complete vehicle mode. And again, the wrecking ball, it looks like a weapon being transported on the back, but yeah, it's really nice how this came out. And if you couldn't tell already, here on the center of Bulkhead's hubcaps, those are hexagon-shaped 5mm ports as well. So when Bulkhead's in his vehicle mode, you can have weapons not only attached to the pegs on his arms and legs, but you can attach them to his wheels as well. And I really like how these 2 wheels that ended up on Bulkhead's back in robot mode, they don't actually spin around, they don't function at all. But I love how they end up acting as a set of spare tires that fills this gap between the front and back halves of his vehicle mode. So again, I apologize for not having any other figures to come out and do a size comparison, but I really enjoy how this figure looks. I do not have any figures of Age of Extinction Hound in my Transformers collection, so this is one of the first Transformers figures in my collection that transforms into a troop transport truck. But yeah, I do enjoy how Bulkhead came out. He's not entirely symmetrical. Here, the passenger side mirror is pointed inward, while this driver's side mirror is pointed out to the side. So that's a nice little touch up right there. He's got a winch cable here on the front of him. There's even a hook sculpted in place right there. He's got painted headlights, the Autobot logo again. The windows are made out of a very nice clear blue plastic, so that's a nice touch up there. Here, and just really, and again, I cannot emphasize enough how much I enjoy having Bulkhead in my Transformers collection. I was originally going to pass on him because I didn't like the idea of Bulkhead having a Age of Extinction Hound's vehicle mode. But yeah, now that I have it in hand and I've transformed it, I do not regret adding this figure to my collection. So do I recommend getting Legacy Bulkhead and adding him to your Transformers collection? Absolutely I do. Again, as I said at the start of the review, I view this figure as being the Transformers Generation 1 Bulkhead, which technically never existed, but yeah, this is a nice interpretation of Bulkhead of what he would have looked like had he been an original Transformers Generation 1 character. I do hope if we get any other characters out of this mold, that they're ones that fans and collectors will wholeheartedly enjoy. So thank you guys all so much. Thank you to my subscribers for all your continued support. And until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, keep an eye out for my other upcoming reviews, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.